Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem HaKakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders, the great millstone, and salutation to Yakim who go out throughout the four corners of the earth pushing his truth. It's the brother Tawabash with another video, another lesson. Lord willing, it's edifying, and this is more just reporting. We all know Revelation 13 and 15 on down. But this is just an update. So when I was working at a store, we had a person come in and install something, and it was weird. It was just a little small thing. So I was like, man, what is this? And he said it's a Bluetooth beacon. And then when I asked him what it does, he's like, well, you can use it for certain things, but you can also use it for others. So one was the RFID tracking, and the other was tracking customers, so deals. But if you have your Bluetooth on and you walk into a store, and they have a Bluetooth beacon, that's why you start instantly getting coupons and emails and all these deals. Well, we used to use it to track how many sister stores that a customer would shop at within our company. So if they came here, it would hit the Bluetooth, and then if they went into another one of our stores, it would set off the Bluetooth beacon again. All right, but we know we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, and we know that this is the RFID. This is a precursor to the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip. Right, and it's funny too because my son has a what's called I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a tag that he has to wear on his bag and his backpack. And when he goes to school, you got to scan it when you get on the bus. And this has been for the past year already. This is before COVID. So this COVID is just another way of these devils trying to get over on people and implement their mark of the beast, so they can implement their new world order and put people back in slavery. But what I'm saying, he's been already doing this, but he has to scan it when he gets on, scan it when he gets off, and this is talking about it going to all schools. But here's a school that's already doing it, and I'm just gonna let this play, Lord willing. This is an edifying report, and hopefully this inspires brothers to do some videos on this.
Many are even looking into contact tracing on campus. RT's Farron Contact has been looking into this story, and Farron, this is kind of similar to those who are on house arrest, right? Wearing an ankle bracelet, an ankle monitor.
Almost kind of like it, Manila. The pandemic, as we've seen, has changed and transformed the way that we live our daily lives, and how we're going back to school is no different. However, as you're about to see, almost a third of U.S. states still have no idea if and even how they'll reopen. Now, taking a look at this map, you'll see just what I mean. Now, these show states where most, if not all of the districts will have students going back to class, but wearing masks, staying socially distanced, and making the desks 6 feet apart. But the two hardest hit states in recent weeks, Arizona and California, they have opted to close their schools until further notice, only offering online learning. Now, the school districts in these 20 states, most of them have the students deciding in person or online learning themselves. But again, if the student opts in to go to school, precautions will be enforced. But look here, more than a third of U.S. states still have no idea if and how they'll reopen. Many districts sending out surveys for parents to answer and deciding sometime this week. Now, you would think, Manila, that these states would have somewhat of an idea, but again, many waiting for more guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and the World Health Organization, who had this to say Monday.
Children can transmit the virus, although there are differences in transmission rate depending on the age, with the youngest children transmitting less. And these are studies that are ongoing. So if there's transmission that's happening in a community, it can enter into the school system. So what we really need to focus on is bringing transmission down in the school system.
And Manila, that's why these school systems are looking into this technology of a contact tracing system with students. But one big question being asked, as always, how much privacy are you willing to give away for the safety of others?
Yeah, so Farron, what is this contact tracing system? Is there one that's ahead of the game, maybe dominating the market, or is there a number of companies working towards this same idea? And are there any school districts that have said, oh yes, we want to do this?
So Manila, right now we only have one school district in the country that says they're going to try this, and it's right outside of Columbus, Ohio, where they have about 4,800 students in 5 different schools. Now, the company Volan, which sells what look like little remote controls that are actually connected to the school system via Bluetooth, they can also send out alerts and even track each and every student, but only when it's on campus. Then you have another company that even businesses are looking into, where you would wear a smart Bluetooth badge that not only track your whereabouts, but also it lights up if you are too close to a coworker. Now, many of these surveillance companies not only are creating an app you can download on your smartphone, but for, let's say, a little kindergartner who most likely doesn't have a cell phone yet, well, they would actually be required to wear these devices. And Manila, it's one of these things where, looking into this, you have, as far as one school that has already implemented a tracking system, it is Syracuse University, where you're using the Spotter EDU system that actually was originally used for just taking attendance in class. But now the company actually has added a COVID-19 contact tracing system to its platform, which the school says has helped in pinpointing when and where students will actually congregate in large groups to eventually go and break them up and continue to monitor those areas. Now, as far as how the students feel, Manila, many say that they didn't even like the system when it was strictly used just for class attendance. Now, this adds an entirely new layer in just how intrusive technology can get in the crisis of COVID-19. Manila?
Karen Fonzak, thank you for that report. All right, let's dig a little deeper into this story and bring in investigative journalist, co-host of Boom Bust, Ben Swan. All right, Ben, we just heard everything there from Farron's report. So essentially, this is like supposed to be a contact tracing app, but when it comes to kids, especially little kids, I mean, this is a whole different level of privacy, right?
It really is, and basically, as I listen to Farron's report, I don't like any of this, right? Every single thing that I'm hearing so far, it indicates, number one, that you're giving away privacy. If you're a parent who's a part of this and you allow your child to go, your kid is going to be tracked. You have companies that are essentially trying to make a lot of money off of this because they know that there's a huge market of young kids who won't necessarily carry around smartphones. And so you can essentially put these bracelets, Bluetooth-enabled bracelets, on children, and you can track their whereabouts. The problem is this, is that even though the WHO says, yes, kids can spread, and there's even an article last week that came out saying that kids are super spreaders of some kind, the reality is that kids, yes, are going to contract it, but they are not the ones who are most susceptible to it. And while other people may be, the reality is you don't get herd immunity until there is some form of, COVID going through the population. So if kids are the least susceptible, they would actually be the safest to help build herd immunity, but that's not being discussed at all right now.
Oh, I'm with you on that. I hear you. I've seen and heard many studies of Nobel Prize winners in the sciences who have discussed this, and they have said the same thing, that they say with children, especially by age, we can't just lump all students. College students are not the same as elementary school kids. But it's much safer for these younger children. But speaking of safety, there is, as a mom of a little one, and you have kids, the other safety concern, Ben, is, how safe are these beacons? I'm sure it's got to be possible to hack them, or someone other than the school, they're going to be able to track these kids' locations. We had problems with, when Instagram first started, and young kids were posting their GPS location, and predators were able to locate them.
That's right. And this is the reality that we have to remember, is that whenever we're talking about any kind of technology at all, if you as a company are able to track the location and the contacts, the whereabouts of a student, then any hack...
Yeah, what about China, as Trump would say? Are they going to be able to track it? They don't think about these things, man. They got their eye on the prize, man. They're trying to implement this chip so they have ultimate control of the sheeple, of the goyim, the cattle, the useless eaters, as these elites call the people.
Hacker can as well.
And this is just up raw. I'm gonna let this finish out for a little while, and then I'll shut it down. But yeah, I just wanted to put this up raw, man. I was watching this and I was like, man, I gotta put something up right now.
Once they get into your system, and hackers will be able to get into these systems. Make no mistake, how many times, Manila, have you and I covered stories where these companies gather a lot of data, hackers get into that data, and then they either abuse it or sell it off to some other group in some way. And so the reality is that if a company is able to track your child's location and their whereabouts, then a hacker can too once they get into your system, and they almost undoubtedly will be able at some point to get into those systems.
Yeah, and I'm willing to bet that these school systems are probably a lot more vulnerable. That they can hack.
Sure.
If hackers can hack into Twitter and take over, Bill Gates's Twitter account, who have probably, Twitter probably has some pretty strong security experts on their side. If that can happen,
You would think.
I'm pretty sure somebody would be able to hack into a school's, contact tracing app and find out where a little kid is. I mean, that just seems like all kinds of dangerous, if you ask me. And Ben, how widespread do you think is going to be the use of these tracking devices? I mean, not just in schools, but I think they're spreading into offices for adults like you and me.
They are spreading into offices. Look, there is a cottage industry that's kind of popping up right now of businesses that are really pushing.
It's going to spread to all people. It says he causeth all, right? He causeth all to take that chip. So, the only ones that ain't going to take it are the ones that ain't going to take it. But, we know the elect ain't going to take it, and it's going to be the hour of temptation because it's going to be hard out here.
For contact tracing, because they know that there is a way of taking kind of existing technology that's really underused right now and creating kind of a boom market for it right now by transferring it over to contact tracing related to COVID-19. One thing that's incredibly important, though, to remember is that contact tracing for all the things we don't know about COVID in terms of how many people have had it, how many people in the society have antibodies in their systems. COVID tracking will not, and contact tracing will not actually be able to be effective at this point. And there's been a number of studies that have been done on this so far because of the fact that we don't know how many people already have it. When you have a brand new disease like an HIV and it's being transmitted sexually, it's much easier to run a contact tracing program, not with were you in the same rooms, same shopping center, same grocery store as these other people. COVID is far too widespread in society to run a successful contact tracing program. No question about it.
Ben, can you imagine the types of
proving that they're doing it for their own monetary gain? And, that's enough information right there. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I just wanted to put this up raw, and shalom.
discrimination that can come from this when people find out, they're going to